السلام عليكم
Peace
ورحمة
be
الله
upon
تعالى
you.
وبركاته. أسأل الله سبحانه
I
وتعالى
ask
أن
God
يبارك لنا في هذه
Almighty
الأيام
to bless
عليها
us
العارفين
in these days and to
سبحانه
open
وتعالى
for
على
us
خير ما
and
أراده
to
لنا
guide
وما
us to
أراده
the
منا
best which He
سبحانه وتعالى.
wanted for us.
ما زلنا نتحدث
And we are
عن
still
السؤال
talking
عن
about
الإيمان
the second
وعن
part of the question of
المرة
faith.
الماضية في الحلقة
In
السابقة
the
كان
previous
آخر وقفنا عليه
episode, the last
تعريف
thing which we
عملي
stood at,
للإيمان.
practical
وتعريف
definition
بعض
to
المفسرين
faith.
فقالوا
Some
الإيمان
of the
هو الذي
interpreters
يبدأ
talked it
بإنقاذ
starts
الذات
to
وينتهي
save
بإنقاذ
the
المجتمع.
self and
بإنقاذ
save
المجتمعات.
the societies.
الحديث
To talk about faith, the familiar is familiar and known. The man needs always to look for the added value. That is to say, what is the thing if you know or understand or reach thereto or inspired by God to know it, and through its recognition can I create effective movement in life. Whenever we have a term and use it in our feelings and our reality, there is a challenge before us. How can we comply with the attributes to which God Almighty told that our prayers, our rituals, my life and death is for Allah alone and there is no partner to Him? And how can we follow this? We will rely on the development of our concept of these terms. Some of the brothers and sisters in their talks or in their communications or correspondence through the channel, we want practical steps. It is not practical steps. We want to concentrate on the great concepts to understand them, because understanding will help us to develop our acts, actions, and behaviors and dealings. Therefore, I affirm in Khawatim that to remind you of the whole meanings, the rule says, he who understands will be relaxed. We are talking about approaching the concepts of faith. We have to contact with, after we have understood worship and bondhood, it is the idea basically came from the saying of the Prophet, blessings and peace upon him. They are the faith, it is 60 and more. The highest is there is no God but Allah, and the lowest is to remove harm from the road. It is a cumulative building. They are work projects. It is not a case, but when we look at faith as to feel emotional feelings, tranquility, then what proves the credibility that what is in your heart? Most of us that said that faith, it is to say in truth by the tongue, in the living word which competes with the dead words. It is to work with the limbs. It is to exercise the act and forget how can the man twin his works with his words. Then the plus or minus, and we have to order them in order to be able to act. Faith, I have chosen a group of scholars and literary figures and knowledgeable people to participate in the idea of this concept in order not to have mono understanding, because it inherited us that we cannot achieve effectively on reality. And Rafi'i, he has some words about the concept of effectiveness in faith. We can't understand it except through work. How can faith start in the inner self and feeling with competency and reflected on reality? And Rafi'i says the faith is that belief that where life is diminished, is that faith in its building and reality, it is a freedom from yourself to yourself. Our viewers, please look for that book. When I read that book, how man can reflect himself by himself and how to get out from the models and the social programming in order not to be a cattle, like cattle in society. Free yourself from yourself. For Ahmad Sami Salman. This book is entitled Free Yourself from Yourself. It has an advantage, urges you to come out from the frameworks. God made the human being absolute in action, and the man in reality is limited in his responsibility. And the faith is the freedom which immunizes its owner from humiliation, all paths of humiliation in this life. This is if humiliate voluntarily, but he is coerced to, and something which is a burden on you, and sometimes to have to make concessions. To be humiliated by involuntarily. This is in contradiction with the real faith. One of the things that he says faith is that meaning which puts on your spirit tranquility. It is a panoramic image which has 3 dimensions to form faith inside its constitution, and the meaning which sheds tranquility on your heart, and in your conscience he deposits loveliness, because your conscience, you are contacting people through it. And on the 3rd dimension, the meaning which teaches who are you, from those who are around yourself, and what is your life beyond that, and gives you interpretation, what is your relationship with your surroundings and the life which you wait to come. Our director, he is telling me something, I can't hear him. Let us continue. I go back to the literary figure Al-Rafi'i, who gives us the effective way of faith. When I read these meanings, the meaning which is available for me, when I measure it with these sublime meanings, this is the necessity for questioning whether we have faith or not. It is called Iman or faith as a name. But in looking for it, in fact, we have to think 1,000 times that it is faith. Is it corresponding to its name, in fact? And when God taught Adam the names and their secrets and their realities, and one of the things in this life to be a name as in fact, and to achieve the secret of its name in order to look for the meanings and see the facts. And Rafi'i, he has a group of the attributes of faith. What is faith? We are still of what is the meaning which we can see and help us to have creative behavior in reality, because our prophet, blessings and peace upon him, gave us in the kinetic field in life the meaning of it. The highest of it is there is no God but Allah, and the lowest is to remove harm from the road. And Imam bin Taymiyyah, he used to renew his Islam every day when he says there is no God but Allah. When I contemplated this in the two basic words, no and but, and that to prove and to get rid of what shouldn't be as, and to prove what you are on. It is on your essence, in your instinct, which you were created on, and the new creation you are on. I am a preacher. I hope to be a preacher. The Rafi'i, mercy of God on him, the faith, it is a pure benefit, because the limit between the soul and its lust and its desire, the desires, and which is, it is the area of movement and preference to give you awareness of choice. The faith is confidence and awareness, and with looking to, we go to interval, then we come back to our talks. Peace be upon you. Glory for Allah. There is no God but Allah. God is the greatest. These are facts and the truths and the merits of these days. We may ask God to inspire us to reach the facts and the truth, to be strong and able in this life, because man seeks in his worshipping from the culprit or his culprit to the culprit of his life. Say our living, our rituals and our death is for God. We are still talking about faith. What is faith? Of the funny things about faith, it is not to be dervish or to be just naive. It is not. It is a pool. It is not a blessing. How can faith in its effective image, the practical image, the projects, the progressing ahead, the man in the name of what he believes, and the rituals should reflect his real life. I don't know when we have acquired such meanings. We have to work on meanings. The faith in it as a whole, man moves in it in two ways. Either it comes from God and he adds the coming and he adds something, or he adds to life and to himself in order God to give him. The faith is cycling movement from the meaning in which you live and the impact which you leave it on this earth after you leave it. Therefore, faith is not what we see in these days, that the goodness of life has been lost. And instead of serving the goodness of life, he is spitting on it. The shortest way to orient people of the religions, his goodness will be reflected in the goodness of life. I go back to the words of Rafi'i. What are the attributes of faith? Rafi'i says faith is a good consolence, a beneficial condolence, and he upgrades man to a certain level of wisdom. We are on our path to the true faith. Therefore, he says it is a beneficial condolence and makes man understand the wisdom of what he is inflicted with. What is inflicted from tribunals and makes you understand the wisdom of what inflicts you on the other image, inspired you with confidence of the wisdom which you ignore. Faith, it makes you a wise man. You understand the wisdom of the things happen to you from a wider perspective, because faith gives you this wide perspective and gets you out of the self-foolishness, and it doesn't make you but a man has a life where mind and heart are inconsistent. There, if we have this attribute in faith, it is easy for us to pass fables and imaginative things, and we have so many complexes to get out of them. Of these attributes, it gives you confidence of the wisdom which you ignore, because not everything is understood for us. We are in need to understand it. After that, Rafi'i says the faith of man is not valid in reality until one finds a way to his God. This is one of the attributes of faith. It is a practical reasoning. It is inheritance. It was said to me, I saw people doing, I pray as they pray, I read as they read. This is not enough. Faith in origin, which is coupled with reasoning. What is the religion of the layman? The layman who takes things by any means. They say hearing. I was told, have you heard what is the religion of the knowledgeable who is given this gift given to him? It is reasoning. He looks for the proof in order to understand and know about Allah. When he comes to Quran, he understands it. When he talks about our Prophet Muhammad, he has a good understanding. I appreciate Dr. Khalid Muhammad Khalid about our Prophet Muhammad. He talked about his own vision and 5 attributes in our Prophet Muhammad in 5 dimensions. One of them is love is his instinct. The troubles of people is his worshipping. Sublime is his craft or his profession. And he has his attributes. He is diligent. He thinks of all things, what is required, what is desired, and how he can work in order to reach the greater truths. And Rafi of the best knowledge of man gives him ability to choose a way towards his God. And there is great fruit to the interpretation of this faith. And this man see that a peace from heaven in his body, which enlightens to him life. His ability in introspection. By the way, honor me and go to my website on Iqraa. I always try to have questionnaires. The questionnaire or the model which I mention about it, or forms, the books, forms, maps. They have modeling the main ideas when he models his ideas to be arranged in order. Can I present the map to the viewers, if you please, our director of program director? We listen to Samir from Germany. Hello, Samir.
Peace and blessings be upon you. Your Eminence, I would like to achieve faith in my house. How can you do that? Samir, I believe that just like the others, bless them, that you hit the bullseye by indicating how can one achieve faith in house. The open questions will lead us to nothing. If we specify our questions, the answers will be more precise. In this field, we have to tackle 3 issues. Our existence in our houses is just like roles. So the second part, the house is an atmosphere, or it's an environment. And we have a general picture of the people, which we call family. When we think about those 3 aspects and how can we achieve faith, we will look at the roles, and then we will see the father and the mother, which they are ordered to do something and to perform something. And each individual in this house has a right and has an obligation. And then we put the duty and the right on the other part, on the other hand. The most prevalent environment, we have to apply a system of 2 dimensions. It's to avoid and to forgive to each other, and then how can we communicate with each other. Those will provide the environment of the house, warmness and relation, and will give us as family to have a general conduct and how we deal with the people outside. And so first we have to treat each other fairly. So because those who are in relation are the most worthy. So in these topics, you have to be the sheikh of yourself, the clergyman of yourself. And you have to ask those, the experts, and what did I do pertaining any or concerning any issue in this environment where I can achieve faith. Let me ask you, what is the right faith which we have to achieve in the house? The most important attribute is to be kind to each other. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his spiritual awareness, he explained that the best values and the components of the house is the issue of kindness. Peace, blessings be upon him. Allah loves the kind person in the house. And kindness was not something, but it's something, should be a part of something. And if you left it, you will be not rewarded. So how can we achieve kindness? We don't have worship such thing where if I do this, I'll get that, but we have to measure this on our intentions. I hope that I answered your question, and hopefully let's go for a break, and we will be back to continue our talk about faith. Peace and blessings be upon you. You're welcome, most unwelcome, to all those researchers of these facts to reach the truth. And Allah is the ultimate truth. And one human must pursue to reach this goal of reaching the truth. Our talk continues, and we are reaching to the end to describe the attributes of faith and the meaningful of the beauty of this term, where we are in an atmosphere, faith atmospheres, and to know the meaning of faith, where you can be able to, it will be easy for you to understand the greatness definition of it, to apply it on your conduct. One of the faith attribution, it's an opportunity of the true life. It is the opportunity of the true life. Not everybody lives the true life. Will we make him living the good life? This measure is very accurate and describing. What does that mean? Nifari said a very attractive words, statements. One of the scholars, the ancestors, backstabbing is the prison of the believer. Peace, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, said the life is the prison of the believer. When I make all my desires and hopes to be within this prison, that's why Allah put a huge miracles within this human, and the heaven and earth are being provided and created for him at his service. When the prison, when someone is making life as the goal, it will be his prison. I will go back to this aspect of conduct. The backstabbing is the prison, or the prison of the belief. When he is not attendant, when he is living the state of running away, without conducting or undertaking remembrance or performing prayers on its times, neither meeting people with the good words and the exchanging of day and night. All of those are tools of remembrance. All of these are tools to help you to not to be an absent in this life. Some people think that he thinks that he lived. When he asks someone, "What did you eat this morning?" he will say, "Oh, I forgot. I barely remember." Because you can see that the busy life is prevailing in his life, it's taken over his life. And that's why he will put more of time in this. One of the other features of the living dead and or some people are working by their interest, or they are derived by their interest, and they live the method of running away, escaping from life. And some people they eat fast and they talk fast, and at the point that where they will leave, or they will be not sensing what they are doing. They don't even feel themselves. That's why the Western's intellects said that we are in the century or of speed, and we are trying to save you as much time so you can be able to be a consumer or and one of the Western's intellects. They are when talking about the problems of the age of speed, who can be able to control. You can then they tell them to be dependent on others. Then they will not be able to take care of themselves. And now we have a lot of virtual graves. And he will live like as he was buried within his these illusions, and Allah is urging us to enjoy this livelihood and boons, and we have to thank Allah for this life when we wake up this morning. But we have to prepare the spirit to go into throughout the day. And the issue is not that complicated. And I'll come back and say one of the attributes or the characteristics of the true faith, it will reward you with the true living, and you will be communicated and be a comprehensive, whole person, to find the language, the proper language with people, with things, even with yourself. And sometimes we lost the language or the communicative language with ourselves. That's why the oppression for oneself had increased. And Allah, after blasphemy. Why blasphemy was prohibited? Because it will put a veil on one's eye, and it will put a barrier in his heart, and he will not be able to find those abilities, and he will be ignored and ignorant toward those abilities that he holds within himself. We will take this phone call from Rashid, and now we'll go back to the same topic. Peace and blessings be upon you, Rashid, and good evening. Bless your heart, Rashid. I was listening to you, and I was listening to the topic about speed, this age of speed. The description of hadith that this group of people were hastening to meet the people, to meet the Prophet, and one of them, he wanted to wash up, and then in order for him to meet the Prophet in a proper manner, and he told him that kindness is to be careful and not to be in a hurry. You taught me something. Thank you, Rashid. You just inspired me. God bless you. Allah blesses you. And one of the things that we should preserve is kindness and being careful. Thank you, and may Allah reward you. And this intervention is better for me than the question itself, because this is the collaboration of the maid of knowledge. What had Rashid inspired us with about how to be attendant, one of the most important things that we should pay attention to, that faith, this is one of the attributes, it will raise the living creatures to be true in a true life, and those who had the true formula of faith, they will be able to arise again and to live the true life again. And that's why we need to make ourselves living. He is the one who creates the living from the dead and the dead from the living. Dr. Ahmad Khair al-Umari has beautiful words in his book, A Stranger in the Galaxy. And to ensure this interpretation, faith makes you awake and attentive. I'm talking about faith, which makes people to arise from their daily death. We are dead, in fact, in a lot of life scenes, in the moments of forgetting, and until the moment of being a stranger to yourself. Even if when you enter your rituals, you are not attentive. When you perform circumambulation, you just count how many rounds you're making. And you sometimes, when you prostrate by mistake, or you don't know what happened, and you're not attentive in general, you can see the escaping from the true state of conscious within performing worships. This is the faith that removes the illusion of being true living. And may Allah blesses you all.